Hey everyone, the castle's here. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. I haven't been getting very much sleep. Uh, this is sort of a new format for my YouTube channel. Kind of, be talking about stuff. Today I'm going to talk about BLACKROOM. Now, this is old news, about 4 months, hand change, probably longer. Um, so this is not an old video. There's new information that came up in the middle of last month. I know I'm way behind on all this stuff, but I figure I'm gonna kind of go over what BLACKROOM is, and then I'm gonna give my 2 cents on some of the new information and kind of just share with you my thoughts. That's basically it. So BLACKROOM is John Romero's project, first-person shooter, something that actually I really, really, really seriously hope is actually like a thing. I don't know. The Kickstarter failed. Have no idea why. Like I haven't really been paying attention to exactly what caused it to fail, but uh, I tried to make a video earlier where I just showed my reaction to the video of the Kickstarter, and for whatever reason, YouTube didn't like that very much and actually wouldn't allow me to post it. So, so I'm just gonna have to have still images and then talk about the still images of the video, and then after that, I'm gonna go into uh, an interview that came up last month. Anyway, so here's BLACKROOM. Ta-da! One of the first things that I noticed, there was a couple of observations while watching the video. This was the first thing I noticed that was kind of neat, is that there is an imp of some sort, which made me happy. Well, he's sort of an imp, but he's kind of coming through a wall or something like that. So this is supposed to be sort of like a virtual reality thing, but then it turns into real world or something like that. Kind of interesting. It's sort of a similar concept to um, what you might describe as like from Tech Gone Bad, the Slipgate complex, but in a different light. And I think the concept itself is pretty interesting. I like it. It's definitely different. So that brought me to this. What we're looking at right now is this guy's name is Santiago Sagnora or some shit like that. All right. So one of the observations that I've been having of BLACKROOM is that it was heavily inspired that he'd be working at John Romero would be working on something like this after releasing uh, a Doom map that got like a lot of attention, right? He released um, the final level of the episode 1 that was sort of redone, and it was just a completely new map, actually, not sort of redone. But what's interesting about that is that it got so much attention that I guess he started talking about actually making a new game that brings back old school first person shooter style gameplay, right? Because, I mean, if Doom can get that much attention in this day and age, why wouldn't a new game that's done in the same sense get that much attention? However, the more I learn about BLACKROOM, and you're going to see this starting from here on out, is that the more you learn about it, the less like Doom it is. Okay, so, or at least just the concept art. So right away, I start noticing a lot of weird red flags. First of all, Santiago Sagnora. I know that the Doom guy had a name. You probably never know. You'd probably never know the Doom guy's name if you didn't read the comics or whatever. And I don't even know if Flynn Taggart, I believe it is. I don't even know if that's actually like his real name. Like I never really confirmed it, but this guy might as well just be Gordon Freeman. I mean, he's got the whole Gordon Freeman thing going on right now. So if you ask me, Half-Life was a turning point when first-person shooters changed from Quake and Doom to more storytelling format, right? So what this guy's showing, Santiago Sagnora, is like, well, we know that his name right away. Um, how much of the story is going to be displayed here? We're going to learn more about this guy's past, like Did he have a wife and they died or something like that? He had a family, like what's going on here? Is he gonna? I don't know. It's kind of weird because this ended up being more generic than the Doom guy, which the Doom guy should technically be more generic, but in this day and age, I would have just preferred a really simple dude. Well, anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that so far. So, some other weird things kind of cropped up when I was looking at the concept art for the game that was displayed on the Kickstarter and stuff like that. And now, keep in mind, we're supposed to be talking about a game that is like Quake and Doom, right? So, why is it that all the concept art and all that stuff completely contradicts what I would expect from a Quake or Doom style game? Uh, for example, here it's like, okay, I got like an oak barrel, a TNT explosives. Are they like in the barrel so like I can like either blow the barrel up with an axe? Is this Deus Ex? This doesn't seem anything like the barrels in Doom. Being the closest possible thing, were literally just objects that exploded if you shot them, and were like things that you can kind of corral enemies into and blow it up. And then there's this over here. We got structural damage. Ah, sure. It looks like it doesn't look like a Doom or Quake game. Of course, that happens, and then I look at this, and I'm like, well, there it is. That's Quake. This looks like straight up Quake to me. Like, you can't get much more Quake than that. Like, it's a fucking old ass castle. All right. Yeah. So like, okay, there we go. I'm cool with this, right? And then I look at this, and let me zoom in a bit on this. Alright, so we got boost level, direct memory access, system operation. I know this is just concept art, but in a lot of ways, like, well, I'll get into why this is weird in a second, but let's just focus on this for a second. Rain speed, wind speed, 16 bits, enemy health, 64 bits, world zoom. World zoom. What's world zoom? Time stop is at 128 bits. So you're like hacking the world. I guess I kind of get it. Like maybe if you put more points into like enemy health, the enemies are a little easier to kill or something. Once again, this seems like a completely different style of game, right? Like, it sounds cool. It sounds cool. It's interesting. Alright, so like, let me give an example. Say you come up with this really amazing real-time strategy PvP game, right? But every single time two units in the real-time strategy end up having to fight. So like, the enemy player pits a unit against one of your units. And the way that the units have to fight is that you have to play a game of checkers. Right? Well, no matter how advanced, once you've done that, you've funneled the gameplay experience from this really amazing RTS. You can talk about the RTS all you want, but congratulations, you just made checkers. And there's nothing you can do about it. Well, that's just like an example of how quickly things can be not the same style of gameplay ever again. Like, once you allow it to get... So anyway, it doesn't feel like Quake or Doom when on this point. And I'll get back to that in a little bit. Another really cool picture here. This is just amazing environment. Would love, absolutely love to kill some fucking monsters in that thing. I love it. Fuck yeah. This to me seems very solid. It's almost like there were two different people asking for two different things. So at this point in the video, he's Romero mentions that the game is coming out will be exclusive on PC. Hell yeah. And that it has full mod support. Hell yeah. Like so, just like Quake and Doom. All right. Hell yeah. Like I can't explain enough about that. Although full mod support when it's based on something like Unreal 4 is still really amazing. Don't get me wrong, but one of the things that really was fantastic about Quake and Doom is that their engines were also cutting edge. I know Unreal 4. I know Unreal 4 is cutting edge. It's just that I don't know. Uh, it bugs me that Quake and Doom stopped after a while, and just sort of trickled. Like I feel like there should have been a new Quake and Doom like every few years. I'll get into that another. That's another topic altogether. Adrian Carmack, he paints with his leather jacket on because you gotta be. That's one way to be awesome. This was just like all the different people who responded to his to the levels that he's created. I believe he's created two for Doom 1, and yeah, they're both really cool maps. So here's some more concepts here. Looks like we got another imp, something like that. I like these drawings of these levels and stuff like that. These really organic layouts, and to me, this kind of stuff looks a lot like a Doom style flow to it. I mean, we can kind of zoom in a little bit. There's like that's definitely um, like a blueprint for some kind of castle structure or something like that, and there's a little bit of like organic level geometry and things of that nature. Oh, during this point in the video, this is also very important, and I almost forgot to mention it, and it's extremely important. Romero says that he's going to make all the levels by himself. No, you're not, dude. You're not going to make all the levels by yourself. I things have changed a lot. The standards are a lot higher. You're not going to be grabbing an Unreal 4 engine game and having AAA graphics that meet the level quality that you have in the concept art, or even anything even remotely close to that, and also be the only level designer. You're going to want to have at least 3 or 4 good level designers, because arena shooters require a better degree of understanding of level design than more modern linear style levels. You can probably throw interns on and make Call of Duty maps to some degree. It's the multiplayer maps that end up being more difficult. But imagine if your single player experience fighting monsters and things of that nature, that requires that's actually a pretty important skill, but it's also pretty time consuming. It's interesting when people can solve your level in multiple ways, and I remember when working on No Rest for the Living episode, I couldn't have done all 9 levels myself, not in any realistic time, and that was still on the Doom 1 engine, right? So, well, Doom 2 engine. And if you want to make a quality experience, you're gonna have to have more designers. You're not gonna be able to build levels yourself. Like Romero's just not gonna be able to do it. Um, you might have been able to pull it off back in the day, but I don't even think TNT and Plutonia were necessarily something that was healthy, both physically and mentally for someone to have created for 2 people to have made all those maps. Like TNT and Plutonia being full out 32 level sized fucking expansions. Um, yeah, that's a huge amount of work, and I'm pretty sure that was a lot of lost sleep, and that was more than 10 years ago, right? You're not gonna be. There's just well, I guess I'm just repeating myself right now. It's not gonna happen. It's impossible. I mean, good luck. Um, with that in mind, I mean, I'll fucking volunteer to work on it, shit. But you're gonna have to get more designers, seriously. Um, so and it pretty much the video ends, and it just talks basically about the Kickstarter. Uh, so with that said, there was a interview that came up last month that kind of went over a few things that kind of stuck out a little bit to me. Now, on this interview, we kind of noticed something, and it kind of reinforced my thoughts on some of the concept art as well. Uh, Basically, when I was reading this interview, I kind of started to feel a little bit like maybe he doesn't really know what the game is yet, and it's been a little while. Uh, so let me read this here. At Game Lab 2016, we talked to Doom creator John Romero. I should probably actually cite. I'll link to the actual article, so you can check it out for yourself in the description. Anyway, at Game Lab 2016, we talked to Doom creator John Romero about his latest project with Nightwork Games, BLACKROOM, and what fans can expect from the game in the future. When we asked about his approach to the game, Romero said, "Well, basically, it's trying to come up with a fiction in the game that no one has seen before or experienced, and maximizing on that fiction beyond what I can even think about right now." To me, that kind of, when somebody asks about something like, well, what do you have in mind for it? And they go, well, I want it to be something that I can't even think about right now. To me, now just keep in mind, this is 4 months later. Like, um, he's still on that stage of the development where he's trying to say that it might become something that he can't even think about right now. To me, that's a red flag. I know that not everybody wants not everybody wants to design things in a non-organic fashion. Like, they want to, like, well, maybe it'll grow to be something even different. But to me, like, you should just be checking shit off of a list. This is a fucking arena shooter. It has these things. You should be thinking about how much health the fucking monsters have at this point. It's been months. Seriously, like, I mean, maybe like certain aspects of the gameplay might emerge, but the game itself shouldn't be in a state of, well, it might become something I don't even think of before, and a fiction that has never been seen before. This to me just comes off like writer's block or something. You know, like, I don't know what it is. Uh, it could have just been a bad interview, just poorly worded. Uh, but to me, like, I'm pretty sure that if somebody, if I was talking to press, I'm not super charismatic. I probably would have answered some weird thing and then, like, messed up as well. Uh, Maybe it could just be that, right? It's like, here's a really great place to start making a game, and the way it's going to turn out, I can't even think about how it's going to turn out right now. But I know that it can be anything I can think of. Uh, uh, and here we are. Like, all right. It could be anything I can think of, man. So if it's not solidified, is my impression. And when I looked at the concept art, I was like, well, what is this? This doesn't look like anything yet. So this is very much a organic process. Uh, so Romero continued, so there's already a lot of design there, but I know that while developing it, that design's going to turn into something cooler, and I don't want to limit what that is. Like a preconceived design, right now, I don't want to stop the game from getting as good as it can possibly get. You know, maybe he's not talking about the overarching, like, obviously there's monsters, you know, there's fucking like dudes that you gotta kill and shoot and stuff like that. Obviously, maybe he's talking about some other thing, like the gravity gun from fucking Half-Life 2 or something. Because the gravity gun was like a new concept that no one really experienced in a first-person shooter, or you know, something like that. Maybe he's thinking on along those lines, and he might very well be like on that level. The only thing is that he's talking about um, doing all the levels himself, but which is already a stretch, even if it's just Doom 2. But if it was just on the regular Doom 2 engine, but on top of that, from the concept art, it looks like these are going to be very interactable levels with ways to like blow up destroyable geometry and objects that can be interacted in different ways. There's no that's fucking insane. Like to go from the style of Doom to something that's a little bit more akin to like Deus Ex level, uh, or or even Duke 3D, where every light switch is turning on and off. That shit's a lot of work. I start with making the base of the game and then feeling it and playing it, and then the iterative process starts to make it into something cooler than I could have thought at the beginning. Fine. You know, there's a lot there, but it's just the springboard for a ton of other stuff. So this is sort of like level designer mentality is how he's kind of approaching this. So when I say that, I mean like old school level designer mentality. So it's like a lot of level designers when they're making Quake arena maps, right? Like deathmatch levels. What they'll do is they'll build a room, and if the room is like a cool shape, there'll be like a staircase, and then there's like a pillar here, and then maybe there's a hallway down here, right? What a lot of people do is they'll start off and they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna iterate on this. I'm gonna build another room next to it, and like maybe try and fit the two rooms together at some point. And it's just like this sort of interweaving level design, like iterative process, right? So he's probably approaching the design of the game where it's literally like that. Now, I know he's a level designer, so he probably is thinking on these terms. So he's like, he'll add a gun, he'll make a cool room, he'll add like an enemy, and then he'll kill the enemy like 200 times running around the room trying to figure out how it feels. And then after he's done that, like he'll add another room and maybe another gun or another or a power up or some fucking armor or something. So he's just very much in this sort of, I don't know what it's going to be because I'm literally just making it as I go kind of a mentality. Like the level designers who make these Quake maps don't always have a grand idea of what the entire shape of the level is going to be. A lot of the time that iterative process happens in its own way. Anyway, um, to me, to 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 give my 2 cents on that, I really don't think that's how you should design a game these days. My personal feeling on it is that you decide what you fucking want, plan it out, and put it together. Like a fucking list. I know that sounds so corporate, man. No. We've been in the game industry for a while now, like this is not something that's like so unheard of, right? You're making a Quake arena style shooter. Fucking add a railgun, a shotgun, a fucking rocket launcher, right? Okay, maybe they'll work a little bit differently, but you got to just, those are the guns, and then you come up with the things that make them a little bit different. You're going to be doing an alternate fire, you're going to be doing just primary fire. You're going to have weapon reloading? No, yes, right? Um, have a fucking solid list after 4 months. If you don't have a solid list by now, to me that just makes me nervous. Like, are you thinking this through at all? Like, because to me, if it was like, dude, we need you to create a plan for a first-person shooter, I would be thinking in specifics. I would be like, okay, we need this, and that, right? We need to, we'll need this many people. We'll need, everything like that. But I guess everybody's brains works differently. I, it's just, to me, in this day and age, it's we should be able to just come up with more solid plans. Like, it shouldn't be this weird nebulous thing. Anyway, uh, the game's current pause. We also asked about when fans can see the game, as it is currently on pause. Well, the campaign is on pause, right? He emphasized, so basically paused the campaign because people wanted to see a gameplay demo. So the game's not on pause because we've been making the demo and it's looking really good. We're going to ... Yeah, I could understand that. So although sometimes when you're making a demo, it kind of forces you to like make design decisions and stuff like that, and that's kind of cool. But it could also be limiting, but to me, I think it's a good idea to get that kind of shit locked down. So it's a good thing. I will definitely be checking out this demo. I want to play it. I'm not sure when we can show it because there are other people involved in the decision-making process. I want you to be the decision maker, Romero, man. I'm just kidding. I mean, I know that the people come in and before you know it, it's this big thing, right? Kind of loses that magic of being an indie project, doesn't it? Oh well. So we're not tied. So we have not tried to make a decision about who and when we can show it, but we're still making the game and it's turning out really good, and we're excited to put it together a video and someone's going to be seeing it. I can say from personal experience just fucking around with Unreal 4 that it is fantastic for doing a game like this. It's like probably one of the best times and places to be able to do it, especially the blueprint scripting, if you know how to do it without like causing it to break and explode on you. It's just a fantastic medium right now. So it's a PC focused shooter. BLACKROOM was originally launched in the Kickstarter, but the campaign was pulled. Yeah, when it became clear that the players wanted to see more of the game before stumping up their cash. Totally cool. But this was a while after all of that came around, right? And like during the video, Romero mentions that this is going to be proof. This is going to be proof that people want this style of first-person shooter again, right? Well, this actually is like before Doom 2016 came out. So like he's like, well, it's obviously going to be proof. When Doom 2016 came out, it actually kind of changed a lot of things, right? Like if I was in Romero's shoes and Doom 2016 came out, it would have deflated me pretty hardcore. So this interview happened way after Doom 2016, but I gotta say, Doom 2016 was fucking phenomenal. I loved the single player campaign. I didn't play the multiplayer, but I fucking loved the single player. And yeah, it definitely showed that people are absolutely up for that style of gameplay again. Now, you can argue that Doom 2016 wasn't a perfect style of Doom, a Doom style game, but in all honesty, man, like you can't get much better. You can't get much closer. I mean, you can, but it was so fucking good. So I think that in a lot of ways, I wonder if Romero would have actually wanted to do this had he thought about doing his Doom 2 level after Doom 2016 had come out. Like I mean, there was this big thing where he's like, Adrian is handing him the keyboard, and it's like a joke from Star Wars, and it's like, nobody else is doing it, so it's time, it's stuff like that. And then Doom 2016 is just like a bat out of hell, just ah, and they fucking damn near nail it. I mean, real close to nailing it. Uh, I wonder now, like, if a lot of the same criticisms would have a lot of the same criticisms of modern first-person shooters and stuff like that that Romero seems to have would. I come to think of it, I haven't really heard much about what he had to say about Doom 2016. Maybe I should look up his Twitter and see. Well, anyway, with that said, BLACKROOM still sounds really cool, but there are some really weird things. This could just be the result of not having a PR team. I know that, like, when you're working on games these days, it's literally impossible to be both a dev and fucking talk to the community. It's so fucking hard to do. Like, only Blizzard can really do it really well. I mean, there are other companies out there, but, like, if you don't have a good PR team, you're gonna, like, fuck up one interview and maybe say a couple of wrong things or something, and then you're gonna have douchebag like me, like, pulling it apart 4 months later. I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is obviously cut Romero's slack. Like, it's just right now my gut is telling me that this is what happens when you give total creative control to an extremely creative developer without anybody to rein him in. And that, yeah, like that's just what happens. Like, you could do anything, and in some ways, I'm just gonna come out and say that it's not anywhere near as the same level of insanity, but it's kind of like a mini Daikatana. A lot of the same symptoms are present, but that's a very mean thing to say. I'm not trying to say it's that crazy, but I am saying, yeah, it's somewhat on that level, or at least a lot of the red flags are. All right, so with that, hope you enjoyed my rant about BLACKROOM, and let me know if you like this video format, because I might be doing this. I'm gonna do some videos talking about our response to Thorn's thoughts on how Quake can never be number one again. I have some things I want to mention about that, and more of a rant anyway, because I mostly agree with him. And the state of Toxic. After I get a little bit more gameplay in on that, I want to actually do some, kind of give my 2 cents on what Toxic is like. And there's a bunch of other just random stuff too as well. So let me know what you think, and stay tuned for more.